Hey there, friends. Welcome to the Planet on Purpose podcast. I'm your host, Ari Riley, and among the many things that I am the artist behind Sunshine Papery and a life coach. It's kind of like art with intention, or intention with art. Either way, I hope that this podcast will bring you encouragement and inspiration for living a very intentional yet joyful life. So, grab your cup of cozy and let's get started. It's basically, now it's August. This is when summer really heats up, and it's basically becomes hot and dry and drought and all that stuff. So in Texas, that's when the root system of a plant basically decides whether or not the plant survives.
Okay.
And so I was actually, the intro to this is it was inspired by this children's book I was reading to my daughter the other day. And it's a book about forests and the mushrooms, different types of mushrooms that grow within the forest and stuff. It was super fascinating. The artwork was beautiful. But then I was like, I got to look this up. This is super fascinating. So in a forest, when it's healthy, the trees aren't just standing near each other. Like when we go walking through a forest, that's what we see, right? The surface level, what's above ground. And we see just the trees are super packed close together and they're basically neighbors. But what we don't see is that underground, their root systems are holding each other up underground. And not only do their roots intertwine, but they also send nutrients, messages about warnings of things that may be coming, so they can pass messages down through the forest, through their root systems, and they even help support the health of the other trees. I thought this was so cool.
Wow. Wow.
And they do this through a symbiotic relationship with a fungi called, I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's called mycorrhizae.
Okay.
I'm having to read this so that I don't mess up the names, but it's so it's basically this fungi, and it works as an information highway between trees. So it can actually enter and communicate with the cells of the tree roots. So it kind of latches in, and then it passes all that stuff to neighboring trees, and it forms a whole network underneath the ground that passes the information, messages, nutrients, and pulls nutrients in from the soil to feed the tree roots. The tree roots feed the fungi through the carbon dioxide and carbs that it creates through photosynthesis to the fungi. So they both give each other what they need to survive. So it's really cool. And older trees, this is also fascinating, older trees and why it's so important to keep them is that they serve as a hub of health and information for younger trees. So they can actually, they will pass out, they will pass their resources out to support younger trees. Not only their nutrient stores and all of that, but just information that trees have basically learned over the years, like how they've adapted for survival, and that information is passed on to younger trees that are growing nearby. And the largest one, this was in my daughter's children's book, the largest one is located in a national forest in eastern Oregon, and it's spelled Malheur. Malheur. I should have looked up the pronunciation of that. But it's the largest one that we know of, and it's one singular network, and it's 3.4 square miles. So I was like, that, my friends, is one big fungus.
Yeah.
One fungus, and it's 3.4 square miles. So what happens, the question then becomes, what happens when the connections die or are destroyed? So what happens is it reduces the tree's ability to uptake nutrients and water from the soil.
Okay.
So they struggle to access resources. So that can lead to a weakened health and reduced growth. It also impairs their disease resistance and stress tolerance. So trees can't tolerate as much stress put on them because the fungi networks contribute to tree resilience. Mm-hmm. So then it also disrupts the carbon and nitrogen cycling, which will impact basically our air quality, and it contributes to climate change. So because it reduces the soil's ability to basically trap carbon. Mm-hmm. It also makes it harder for trees to become more established and to regenerate because they rely on that fungus to pull nutrients from older trees to help them get started. So then the younger trees have a harder time getting going. And then it also then kills out that forest communication and resource sharing. So that's not happening anymore, and basically sets up a sterile soil condition. So then the soil loses its ability to support the growth of trees, which then that's going to affect the animal kingdom. That affects us because now animals are not getting the nutrients they need from the food that grows from the ground. So the trickle effect of this is huge. So today we're talking about the fungus among us. I knew it would make you laugh. Isn't that great? So you know me and my gardening metaphors. I don't know if I'll ever run out of them, but there you go. So I have invited a very special person on today's episode with me. I have the pleasure of calling her my aunt, but you may know her as Julie Adams. And she has 40 years of experience as a registered nurse. She's a certified mental health and addictions coach and a certified life coach with a master's degree in marriage and family counseling from Liberty University. And she has a BA in healthcare administration. So welcome, Aunt Julie.
Thank you.
What else do you want to share as far as your experience and things with our audience today that will kind of give them a sense of your expertise and why we're talking interconnectedness and communications today?
Yeah. Well, I would say something you said to me one time is that you have a life of hard knocks. That's how come you do what you're doing. And I think, they always say that a therapist can only take you as far as they've been. And that's kind of how I feel. There's just been a lot of things happen in my life that I've learned, maybe learned in a hard way, learned in ways that like, wow, I should have done that different. And just in the relationships of parenting, of what it's like to be married to a minister, what it's like in that role, what it's like to talk with women who have been abused, what it's like to talk with children who want to commit suicide. So I think for myself, I'm an only child, so people assume a lot of things about that. Some of it's true, some of it's not. Then growing up as a preacher's kid, marrying a preacher, and what that world is like. I'm an RN as well. That completely opened up my world as to what it's like outside of a church setting. And then in just parenting, I'm a step parent, I'm a biological parent, I'm an adoptive parent. All of those then came along and changed me again. So I have been in constant change and transformation for many, many years. And I decided in 2020, when everything else shut down, that I was not going to shut down. I wanted to go back to school and learn more about trauma and how it affects us, not just with children, but how it affects us as an adult, whether it's not adoption, whether it's not step parenting, but how we as adults act as a Christian. How do we as adults act in community? How do we act at work? How do we treat one another? Why are things the way they are? What happened to people?
Right.
So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah. And the reason I invited you here is because I want my audience to hear firsthand from a professional how important our personal connections really are. because I believe the truth is that our networks and our villages among people are dying because of the
Mm-hmm.
digital age we live in. And
Agree.
I know it's starting to get some exposure in the media. I know it's been somewhat addressed with children of like the negative impacts of screen time on children. But I truly believe that grown-ups are not immune to it as well. Like if it's having this effect on our children, it certainly is having an effect on us too. But I want people to hear from somebody who's got the degree, who's got the credentials, as well as the practical experience of what you see in your clinical practice of, trends in our connections and our communities. So, now, why would you say that this conversation matters now more than ever?
Well, I would say it matters now more than ever is because what we once knew as being able to communicate, whether it's via telephone, newspaper, talking to our neighbor across the street, we kind of had visuals and were able to, when a phone call came in years ago on the phone that was hanging on the wall with that long cord that only rich people had, rich people had the long cord. Um, I don't know if you knew that or not,
Yeah.
but that's how it always felt.
Yes, it's so
but
true.
but typically it was long distance. That was a big deal, and you kind of knew the person, but there wasn't going to be somebody just calling you that had no idea who you were. Just they didn't when we're going to do that. And then we did like our machines, and so we have this machine and they left you a message. We could see who it was from, and so everybody had more eyes on it, so to speak, in the home. Now we have no idea who's showing up in our home. The people showing up in our homes via our phones are people we would never open our doors to. If they came to our front door and said, "This is who I am and this is what I do," and we could see it on our cameras, on our Ring cameras, we would not answer the door. So that's where we live now. We live in a place where we just open the door for all these people to walk in, and without vetting, and our children are being raised on phones. And so that in and of itself puts them in a very, very difficult place as they grow up, because they will not really know how to interact with people, know the questions to ask, know how to observe. They're not going to know that.
Right.
And so it's a hard time to be a parent with kids. It's a really hard time.
Yeah. And I think as a parent, it's opening my eyes to the fact that no one is going to create healthy boundaries or make hard calls around when it's time to turn it off, except for me.
Mm-hmm.
And not only do I have to be willing to do that for my child, I think that we also have to take a real hard look at what boundaries and when do I turn it off for myself, and
Mm-hmm.
having the self-integrity to follow up, like to
Yes.
basically follow our own rules.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think, Ari, one of the things that's so important is that when children come into the world, and they, especially with the mother, just because of that attachment piece with the umbilical cord and the cellular cells going, flowing in and out through that umbilical cord. And so that attachment to the mother is so, so important. And what's interesting is the studies that have been done, how children learn so much about response based on what they're seeing on the mother's face. So they're learning happy, they're learning sad, they're learning how to move their mouths, they're learning anger, they're learning so much from just watching their face. They're learning tone. They're learning all these things that are pre-verbal. And so when they start out in our day and age, sadly, if all they see is mom with a phone, or if they don't see mom at all, how is the child going to learn what it's supposed to look like to learn how to interact with people? Because they're learning what that is by how you interact with them. But if our phone seems to take place of that, then we have really disconnected our child and their ability to have that, what should I call it, pathway that continues in development. So this is the thing that I think a lot of us as moms just maybe didn't really understand, that how critical that first year is a child with its mom and what all it learns.
Yeah.
And then when I see moms out and the child is trying to interact, but the mom's giving them a device as well.
Yeah.
The child is learning from other people what they're supposed to be learning from their mom.
Yeah. Yep. And I have been blessed with such a precocious and sassy daughter that she was able to call me on it really early. And I realized that she was getting too much exposure to the phone, not only as somebody like I was very careful with like not putting her in front of screen time a lot, but I realized that she was being filmed too much. She was having her picture taken too much. And she would say to me at 2 years old, she said, "Mommy, put phone down."
Oh no.
She would say that to me. I'm like, it's funny. It was a little disrespectful, but at the same time, it was like, sometimes it takes a 2-year-old to call you on it.
Yeah, it does.
They're honest.
Yes.
And I just thought, you know what? She's right. She's at 2 years old. The girl is right. And she just wanted to play and interact. She didn't want to have her play filmed, or she didn't want to have, how she was acting being like taken pictures of. She just wants you to be in the moment with her.
Yeah.
And so I can think back on that anytime, like I pull out my phone and I can catch myself either scrolling too much or whatever. I hear that little voice in the back of my head, put phone down.
Well, that's so true, because I sometimes think we don't realize the child really wants us. They really do. I mean, we are their safety net. We're the people who are supposed to be feeding them and changing their diapers and making sure they're comfortable and keeping them warm, or we're supposed to be those people. And so they keep looking to us to get validation that they're okay and we're okay. But what are they getting? They're getting constant stimulation from all the wrong places.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they grow up with only being able to feel energized is if they can be stimulated with electronic activity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I kind of realized this with myself too, is I had heard another mom say before I had children that she noticed when her children were watching even just one show on the TV or just a short amount of screen time on the iPad, that when it was turned off or taken away, it was just like cranky town.
Yeah.
The after effects of it were so much worse than if she just made them be bored or creative in their own play. And right when I had my daughter and we moved away from kind of our network of support and friends, and then COVID happened, we were so isolated, far away distance, but also, without the ability to travel to see friends or see our support network, then you turn to the phone to replace that.
Right.
And I noticed in myself that, I'd be scrolling social media and I'd be seeing what all my friends were doing far away, and it would look like they were all having a great time together, being together, or they would be doing these fun projects or making their homes look beautiful. And I would get off the phone, and instead of it making me feel better, I would feel yucky. Like just like icky about myself, about how badly I missed my friends, how I wasn't a part of what was happening on social media. Like I wasn't in the pictures and I didn't get to be there for that special event, or it just left me feeling really yucky. And I thought,
Sure.
it's not just children that are experiencing the after effects of when you turn it off or put it down. This also, it's not a childhood brain, it's a human brain problem.
Oh, absolutely. Because we do, especially as women, we do a lot of comparing ourselves. So when we look at someone and everybody looks happy and everybody's at the beach and then we're getting pictures of the food they have, and then we're getting all the fun, and then we notice, oh, they're really tan, I wish I could be that tan, or oh wow, their hair is really bright and glistening, I wish my hair could be like that, or that way, oh wow, they've lost a lot of weight, I wish I could be. So we keep doing that to ourselves. And so when we do that to ourselves, we stay almost disconnected in a way, Ari. We're disconnected from who we really are because
Right.
we keep trying to match up to the people that we think we're supposed to be, because this is what our culture tells us. This
Yeah.
is what social media tells us. And so we spend a lot of time every day trying to be somebody else so that we can be validated by the world. And so then when that goes away from us, whether we can't get to social media anymore or whatever happens to us, that we're disconnected, we also don't know who we are.
Right.
And how sad is that?
Yeah. And more people that I talk to are experiencing that. Like, I'm just not really sure what I'm supposed to do with my life,
I
or
know.
I'm not really sure what my gifting is.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it's because, in my opinion, it's because we have become too busy, air quotes, on our phones, too busy with
Yes.
distractions. Our time is packed too full of stimulus.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
But what have you seen in your practice, and in the people who come through your office and things? Have you noticed trends or things with women's mental or emotional or spiritual health, as what's happening to that, as our society is functioning the way it is right now?
Yeah, that's a big question with a lots of moving parts.
Yeah.
So spiritually, I see women who don't believe they're enough. They don't see their worth. They don't see their value. They don't see how they contribute. They truly believe they are unlovable. They truly believe that God could not possibly love them. And it's either because there's stuff in their past which they've not worked on, or they have been told things that are lies, but they are believing them. And they compare and go to all the wrong places to figure out who they are. So spiritually, trying to learn how we can have a relationship with Jesus is hard. And I think this is one of the things that the millennials and the Gen Zs have brought to our attention, that, hey, you boomers and all of you past that, we've kind of left Jesus out of this. I think we need to have a relationship with Jesus. So that's the spiritual piece I see to that. Parenting is really tough because of all the different things that are being said on how to parent. I remember years and years ago, my mom was the Dr. Spock, book. I remember seeing that in the house. It was all about Dr. Spock. Well, you have to remember that all of these things at that time were based for the most part on some research and what they had at the time. As time has gone on and people have been more vulnerable, have been willing to look at things, are willing to speak, do more kinds of research, we kind of change how things go. Well, now there's different ways of parenting that people have bought into that don't always work. And so it's like, how am I going to parent? I want to parent by the Bible, but I don't want my child to turn out like I did, or I don't want my child to turn out like that. So then it's kind of like they don't know what to do. There are women who pass through here that have been abused, that they're not sure who will believe them. And that is so hard for me to watch them just tell me that they just feel like they're going crazy and they don't think anybody believes them. And Ari, every time I listen to someone and I'm the person on the other side listening. So I've been trained to listen. And when I hear things that I'm like, wow, this is the real stuff. I'm looking at this person and going, I believe you. I do believe you. And there's instant tears, because they have been in a place that says, if these certain people don't believe you, then you're not believable. And those are lies as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a really hard place. It's a hard place for kids.
Yeah.
Kids trying to figure out who they are. Kids having a hard time at home. And then there's a group of people out in the world who will accept them very easily. And they get caught in that. So all of those things, Ari, are just kind of what we're talking about. Look at all the disconnects.
Yeah.
And when I think about that example you gave of that tree out in Oregon, and I was doing a little bit of like, how many acres is that?
I think it's over 2,000 or something.
It
like
is.
That. Yeah.
It's over 2,000 acres. Okay, and so I'm going, okay, what can we all relate to that's 2,000 acres where we can get an idea? Do you know? I don't off the top of my head. I would have to look it up. I'd have to look it up.
I think some of the largest farms and ranches that have been for sale around Texas are like 1,000, maybe, 900. So, you take two, such a Texas metaphor. If you take two cattle ranches,
well,
put them together.
Live in Texas.
You're out of luck, I guess.
I don't know what 2,000 acres is,
It's
okay. So here's 20 acres. I think we can relate to this one, especially the Texas people, because they're all about their sports. 20 acres is equal to approximately 26 football fields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
So, yeah, that's...
So you multiply that by like 100.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just think, if there was a way for all of us to be connected in 2,000 acres, how could we all stay connected, get what we need, get the warning signs, get the nutrition, get the alerts, be protected? What would that be? I mean, I've already have something in my mind. I know what that is. I know who that is.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why, Jesus tells us that older women are to teach the younger women. It is the older tree hub passing nutrition and information to the younger trees to build their resilience, to give them the nutrients they need to start off their growth. And that has been disconnected because, instead of listening to older generations pass down wisdom and advice, when you are going through a transformation, whatever type of, what do you call it, phase of life that you're transforming from and into, whether that's teen into adulthood, young working professional into stay-at-home mother, whatever that is like a whole personality transformation, basically, of your identity. Yeah. And what I'm seeing happen is that social media is replacing the hub of information for all of that, rather than going to a person who's lived real life experience.
Yeah.
Oh. And I think it's even more powerful when you have a collective of older women or older mentors who can physically and verbally give you that information or advice.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. So if we think about all the different kinds of trees, and you're much more in tune to that than I am. I mean, I when I watch people garden, or that thing I sent you the other day with this guy who plays classical music in his garden, I'm thinking, oh, this
Yes.
is Ari, you know.
Out there like serenading my plants.
Yes, like the violins
Yes.
were actually playing.
Oh.
Oh, it was great. And I'm thinking, oh, when I was listening to that, I thought how wonderful that would be to be in a place where you're hearing that and you're around all of that is thriving in such a way that it's going to keep thriving. It's going to produce stuff for you from which you benefit. Well, isn't that what this is supposed to be like? Isn't the hub, if we look at Jesus Christ as saying, I am the vine.
Yes.
I am the vine. I'm the place. I'm the place where if you stay connected here, what will flow from me to you will produce something beautiful. It will. It's supposed to. That's how that's supposed to work. And so, you know, what happens sometimes, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, is are there branches on trees or plants that sometimes they have to be removed because they're dead or they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and so you got like we got to pull this back because they're not doing what they're supposed to do. How does that work?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's critical, especially like this time of year in August. Your garden's gone from like neat and tidy, like organized little rows of plants to like mine is full on Jumanji mode. Like vines are everywhere. Tomatoes are now 9 feet tall and flopping over. Like they're all holding each other up, but like limbs are everywhere. The sweet potato vines have now taken over the entire back corner of my yard. Like they did not stay in the planter.
Oh,
so
a little rebellious. Okay.
Oh, for sure. And so in order to actually get to the fruit, or prevent disease, because when you have that much foliage all together, it's going to trap moisture. It doesn't allow movement of airflow through there. It just really clogs things up. So to prevent disease, to reduce the number of pests that are going to come in and eat your plants and destroy. And even with tomato plants, if you don't prune them and stress them just enough, you get a lot of leaf, but no fruit. And so it's critical to go in and prune back what's not bearing fruit or what's dying so that you allow more airflow. You allow clean water and clean air to come through the plants and basically keep them clean, keep them going, keep them healthy. So it's critical to prune. Okay. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so is that what we need, sometimes needs to happen to us? But we don't know it.
Exactly.
We can't see it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, the vine dresser, so to speak, would have to come along and go, you know, we've got to work on this because this is not keeping this plant the way it's supposed to do. It's preventing it from doing and producing.
Yeah.
We're the same way.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, the vine dresser is wait a minute, you're getting out here to a place where you're destroying a lot of things. And let's pull you back. But if you keep trying to do that, eventually the branch is just going to be off.
Yeah.
It's going to be broken off. And now where are you? Now you are completely removed from your source.
Yeah.
So that's why it's good to have a hub, older people in your life who aren't going to be lording over you, and they're not going to be telling you it has to be this way and it has to be this way, but they're going to see you as, how are you doing connected to the vine? How's that going?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's where it's so critical to have in-person time spent with people to establish real relationships to where you can open up and share the real with what's going on. Because like you were saying, with women who come in and talk to you and share what's really happening, that's often the first time they've actually even said it out loud, because they don't have a relationship with anyone else that they feel like they can say what's really going on, because all their friends around them look like they've got their lives together, or it looks
Yes.
perfect from the outside. So then you feel trapped in that, like, well, I can't share my messy. Like, people will like pull back from that. No, a lot of people, I think, want to be hands off. Like, I'll be your friend, but like, I don't want to be like involved in your mess. Like, yuck. And
Yeah.
so people don't share,
Mm-mm.
we'll share the good, but we don't share the bad or the ugly.
Yeah. Yeah. I call the women that I see, a lot of them are underground wounded warriors. So being underground as a wounded warrior does not allow you, actually, it prevents you from even coming up for air. It prevents you from trying to stay connected because it's enemy territory out there. So you just kind of stay low. And when you do that, then you've isolated yourselves and you have stayed disconnected. You're not getting with someone who could help you. But I would say the thing of it is, getting someone to help you, you're going to have to do your research. Some people mean well, but they don't do it necessarily well.
Oh, true.
That's why I'm all for people learning how to do some of these things, and be a listener. Be someone who knows how to talk, but also someone who knows how to listen. Don't assume things about people. Don't always just decide what the answer is right then, because there's still a lot of information that most people aren't going to share with you right off the bat. They're just not.
Right.
And so I just, the underground of wounded warriors, when some of them have finally felt free to come up, I can think of a person in my mind right now who has gone through such horrific abuse, and she has absolutely come up, and she has moved things out of her way. She's gotten rid of all the old branches, all the weeds. She's like, out. I'm going to do this over. And she is producing the most beautiful fruit because she's becoming the woman that she's wanted to be, and in the Lord is a beautiful daughter of the King.
Yeah.
And that's how it's supposed to look.
Yeah.
But she had to work at it, and she had to be fearless. Fear will keep us from our faith. Fear will keep us from forging ahead. It will keep us from doing lots of things. Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So fear will keep us from taking risks. If we think about the hall of faith, as we speak about so much in Scripture, about all the Noah and Moses and all the people in that hall of faith, they all took risks. They all took risks. And so faith requires risking. There will be a cost. But if we stay connected to the hub, if we can stay connected to the vine, it's amazing what can happen.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think part of that is learning to realize that fear is an emotion, same as excitement, joy, anger. It's just a feeling. And so you can know what to do, and you can know the next steps that need to happen.
Yeah.
And you can, instead of feeling trapped and held back by fear, you could say, this feels scary to me, and it's the right thing to do, and I can be brave to do it. So I have found it very helpful to make space for both.
Sure.
And instead of saying, I shouldn't feel afraid about this, It's I'm afraid and I'm stepping out in faith.
Mm-hmm.
And by allowing both to exist together, it reduces the hold that fear has on a person.
Yes. 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 Recognizing that fear, which can create the anxiety for people. And I remind people that anxiety is an attachment from, is a detachment from reality.
Mm.
And so when you look at it like that, you have to look at like, this is what I fear, but this is what is really true.
Yeah.
And go at it that way. The other thing, when we were talking about how people look in our eyes, like they have this perfection, perfection is off the table. None of us will ever get it. So it's not anything we can actually like achieve. It's just not going to happen. We might have a perfect something, but in our lives, we're not going to be perfect. But people will, especially at holiday time, there's a lot of pictures, all the families there, all 45 people get together and look at the beautiful food. And they take this picture and you go, wow, I wish I was part of that.
Yeah.
I wish I was part of that.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, okay, this looks good on paper.
Yeah.
But I'll guarantee you there's stuff in there. There's stuff in there. And that doesn't mean that it's not okay to get together with 45 people and celebrate a holiday. But let's not make this look like we have the perfect family and all is well.
Yeah.
Because none of us have lives that have just all, they've just all traveled through perfection. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, so don't think that just because you see this beautiful picture and everybody's dressed pretty and everybody's teeth are white and it all looks wonderful.
Yep.
It does. It looks great, but everybody has stuff.
Yeah. Everybody has stuff. And, I have also found that when you're going through stuff and it's really hard, one of the most unhelpful things you can do is to be on social media, looking at what's going on and all of the perfection, quote unquote, perfection that's out there when you're going through stuff. And so, talk to just for a minute before we wrap up, but how does, especially when you're going through hard things, how does the constant digital input, impact our nervous system as we're, because I have found that it conflicts with the ability to process and connect with self, connect to the hub and all of those things. But as you're moving through something that's hard, have you seen any research or trends of like what that constant digital input does to an adult's nervous system?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So that is that constant stimulation and then expectation of the body that says, I need more of that, because when I get more of that, then my body feels a certain way. So that's why sometimes when our kids stay on social media or some kind of electronic device, our body's saying, okay, this is what I have to have in order for my body to stay in this particular state. And that's why when we take it away, the child's going crazy because their body's going, no, I gotta have it. That's the addiction piece. Because that's the addiction to all of the things, is our body finally says we really need this in order to feel okay. So we're training our bodies in that way. And it's really interesting that sometimes we don't even realize when our body is as hyper aroused, because we're so used to living like that we don't even have a default. It's a constant alert. That happens a lot with people who've been through a lot of complex trauma. Their body is on constant alert, and trying to get them to find a place where it's calm is scary. And a lot of times they're not sure they want to go through that because it's going to be something they're going to have to get used to that's different. But your body will respond to things that maybe happened to you in that pre-verbal stage as an infant. It could have happened to you as a young child, as an adolescent, as a teenager. all the things your body is constantly bringing it in, your body is storing it up, and your body is responding. So let's say, for instance, that your body hears some fireworks the 4th of July, and most everybody believes they enjoy those and they're supposed to have them. There are some people that's traumatic for them. It could be the sound. What is that sound? And so your body jumps. Sometimes we don't even realize our body jumps. And like, why did it do that? Well, start connecting the dots. Your body may not tell you exactly, but it's alarming you in this way. So that's what therapy helps you do, is to go back and look at what happened to you as a child. And then how is that affecting you now? If you were yelled at a lot growing up, then yelling to you, if you go from as a child into a marriage and you're so used to that yelling, your body just thinks that's okay. I remember with our adopted children, when the 3 of them, adopted from an orphanage in Bulgaria, they're teenagers. They've gotten into our home, they've been here a little while, and then the real children show up. And what was amazing, Ari, to watch them is that one of them could be in a rage. I mean, in a rage. And the other 2 are still doing whatever they do. They don't even look up. They don't even like, wow, what's wrong? What's wrong? They're so used to it. And the person with the rage felt like, this is what I have to do in order to survive. I have to rage. And so, I guess the thing of it is that we have to learn that our bodies are constantly taking in everything we do. It's so important for us to also learn, how can I control that? How can I regulate that? A lot of times with a lot of complex trauma, that ability to regulate is just not there. Just not there. I don't know how to come back down from a rage, or I don't even know how to get up off the bed. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to walk. I don't know how to even talk to you. Wow. I just stay in the bed. So you've got both of those places, and they come from what's happened to us in our past. But the beauty of it is that in therapy, you can find that place of calm to where you can train your body to be calm, and you can learn what that feels like. One of the things that I had to do is, I was having a lot of ringing in my ears. And it was just like, what is this about? And I go to the ENT, and he's looking at my ears like, well, no, I don't really see anything there, but let's put you on an antibiotic and a steroid. Okay. Well, it's still going on, so I'm digging, searching. What is this? And I finally found a doctor who had the same thing. And he said, our minds can get so used to believing that ringing in the ears is normal that it's going to do it. Wow. Because you've never tried to bring it to a different place and force it to go away. He said, so this is what he did. He had not only white noise, but he had 2 of white noise. One kind of not as intense, the other very intense. And so what he would do is, I would focus on that really intense white noise, to where I had to train my mind that this is going to go away. This is how this is supposed to be. Override it. So I tried it. It worked. Wow. I trained my brain to not give in to the ringing. I override it. And should that ringing come back, which a lot of times is associated with anxiety, should that ringing come back, I go, I'm going to override it, because I know what that means. So getting in tune with your body is so critical when it comes to learning about yourself connecting with yourself, connecting with Jesus. It's really a beautiful thing if you're willing to work on it.
What I heard you say too earlier is, that constant input that would
Mm-hmm.
basically set up our brains to, have that inner ringing. And it's almost like just inner noise in our brains too, like
Mm-hmm.
with constant input, is that we are creating trauma for ourselves. Not
Mm-hmm.
just people who have experienced trauma, but by the constant constant stimulus of technology, social media, noise, everything coming at you all the time without ever taking any baseline quiet or peace.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We are inducing our own trauma.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, I would totally agree with you. And here's the thing, Ari, and here's the thing. Everybody has to understand. Your brain will respond to what you're telling it to do. It will respond. If your brain is saying, okay, you should have anxiety about this related to X, Y, or Z, it will do it. And then your body will respond. If your brain is saying, oh, I need to get into this addiction, and your body will respond. And so you'll have anxiety. You might have increased heart rate, and then you have to go get the fix.
Mm-hmm.
And then your dopamine, your hit, and then you'll calm back down. But your body will respond again because the brain will go, hey, 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 it's time again. Okay, body. And so that connection that I don't think we understand is so, brain science is amazing to me. It's amazing to me
Yeah, me
how
too.
the brain that God made for us can do so much more than I think we probably give it credit for.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
but the brain will do what you tell it, and the body will respond.
Yeah. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
So, as we wrap up today, because I think that's a really good point to end on, is that the brain will do what we tell it to do. So, if you had one or two like simple methods that someone could say, like, hey, I am just feeling like this constant buzz in my head, or like I'm feeling a hyper sense of anxiety and things from all this stimulus, what are some simple shifts that somebody could implement in a daily routine or a weekly practice? Or what would you recommend to someone to start implementing, to start bringing their levels down, and to start creating real connections?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. Well, I think grounding is really important. Grounding, whether it be if you're in an office and you are like, oh boy, I'm getting kind of like out of sorts here. This is where you put your feet on the floor and you sit upright and you could do some box breathing. And it's just in the shape of a box. Inhale, count 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, count 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's that box breathing, and that can help your body calm. If when you do grounding, it's just a reminder of like, this is where I am. This is I'm in an office. Everything's okay. I am safe. Nothing's going to happen to me right now. And you have to have these conversations with yourself. If you can go outside and you can take your shoes off and you walk around in the grass and just take in some sunshine, that helps too. If you can write down on a piece of paper what's true and what's not true, that helps as well. Anything we can do to distract from that thought is very helpful. It's like those squirrel moments that we saw in the movie Up. Have some squirrel moments. And it could be, I need to turn some music on. I need to get up out of my chair. If you're at home, it's like, I'm going to go take myself out of this space and put it in a space that's quiet and calm, do some deep breathing, and know that everything's okay. A lot of times, moms at home, they got little ones. It gets very hard. So while you are attending to them, if they calm down, you take yourself out of that space and you do it as well.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what helps too, a lot of times, Ori, all of us need to create imagery of where we could be that would be calming for us. I did this with a lady the other day that was kind of in a panic, and she and I created where we would like to be right now that feels calm. And she created this beautiful scene on the ocean. And we were very detailed. What do you have on? Tell me about the breeze. Is there a breeze? Can you taste the salt in the air? Just can you hear birds, seagulls? I mean, all of that detailed imagery really helps to calm you as well. Those are just some things that you can do even in the car at the stoplight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Yeah. Just some, yeah, things like that.
yeah, so good. And that truth or a story or just a thought is one of the things that I address in the cycle journal that I created. So that's on my website, where it's a journal where it's laid out so that you can walk through, hey, this is the circumstance, this is just the facts. Because if you're finding yourself reacting to something not in a way that you're wanting to react, or things are spiraling down, it's a way to reframe the circumstance and reframe your thinking about, hey, the circumstance is just the facts. You get to choose how you react to it. You get to override the stimulus if you choose to. And it walks you through this framework of, circumstance, which is like court of law. What are the facts? What can you prove to be true? And
Absolutely.
then what is the thought that you're thinking about the circumstance? So,
Right.
And then because we do our feelings, we act from our feelings, the thought drives the feelings. So if you can identify the thought, whether it's faulty or whether it's true, if you can identify the thought, then you get to choose how you want to feel about it, which is going to drive the actions and the results.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
that was a very powerful tool I learned. And I thought, people need somewhere to practice this, because the more you practice it, the faster it comes when you need it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people need this where they can pick it off a shelf and implement a therapy tool right away when they need it. And because a lot of times we just accept whatever our brain is thinking as like, well, this is just how it is.
Oh, I know. And I will tell you too, so many times safety is just crucial. Am I safe? Am I safe? Am I safe? And sometimes we're not safe with our thoughts.
Yeah.
And sometimes this is where we take every thought captive and we go, oh, no, thought. You're not going to get to stay there. I'm going to take you over here and I'm going to set you out of my realm, of my sphere, because you're not allowed. You're not allowed to be here because you are taking me down a path I don't want to go. Name the thought. What is it? Is it bad? Is it hurtful? Is it painful? Give it a name and then remove it. That's what it is, to take things captive and put a rope around them. They cannot come back.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then taking the time to ask, what do I want instead?
Yeah. Yeah.
And coming up with a plan.
Yeah. And that plan may have to be very quick. It may not be something you can think long term, but typically safety will be your number one thing that you have to remember, because safety is what we do to survive. And survival looks lots of different ways depending on our past. So just safety of knowing I'm in a safe place. So it's okay for me to have these conversations with myself, because we are all fragmented in some way, to have these conversations with ourselves and talk self into a safer place. Yeah.
Another tool I created, and I do want to put out that for listeners of this podcast, if you go to the website and purchase, there's a 20% off discount code. If you put in podcast at checkout, I'm giving you 20% off. I created this wonderful deck of cards that is 50 cards of grounding and mindfulness tools, like you talked about. Put your feet in the grass, get some sunshine, things where, sometimes it's hard to think of what we're supposed to do in the moment. Like if we're spiraling or we're feeling dysregulated, or it's like, what was it that, I heard on that podcast the other day? I'm not really sure. I can't remember. I don't want to pull out my phone and Google it, because the whole point of this is to not be on the phone, right? So I created this little deck of cards. They're pocket sized. So you can, throw them in your purse, leave them in the car. They're real small, but on one side, you're going to find an encouraging Bible verse. And then on the flip side, it's going to have a mindfulness tool that you can implement right away to help ground yourself, to re-regulate. And then that way you've always got an idea for anything that you're going through. You can pull a card and just implement, and it just helps the nervous system and create that place of safety for your nervous system. So that's on my website too. It's just a conglomeration of a lot of these therapy tools that you've talked about today that I've implemented into my practices and found very helpful. And so I wanted to pass that forward and bring that to people where it's easy to grab and go. And then that way they have it on their shelf ready to go whenever they need it. So I am so grateful that you said yes to having this conversation today. I think your perspective is such a needed voice in today's culture. I know it's going to bless so many women who are feeling disconnected or overstimulated or spiritually restless, because that's just where technology is leaving us these days. That's just the honest truth of where we're at.
Yes, that is. Yes. Thank you, Ari, for this opportunity. I really enjoyed it. And you just keep doing your good work, because you do beautiful work.
Thank you. And if our listeners today want to hear more about critical topics in today's world and how to live through them in a healthy way, I know they can come and subscribe to your podcast, which is Just Julie. You have just a great conglomeration of topics on there with helpful tips and tools, things that people can walk away and implement, and mindset shifts they can use. If there is somewhere else that people want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Yeah, they can just email me, julie@stillwaterslife.com, or my website is stillwaterslife.com. So you can go there and kind of look through our website. There's recommended readings on there and things like that. So absolutely would love to have people visit there.
Cool. So lots of free resources on your website. That's awesome to hear. So, and don't forget, definitely check out Julie's podcast, because it's just wonderful. She talks the hard stuff. You're going to feel like you're in the conversation with her. It's just a wonderful, warm, and not too serious voice in your ear. You know how to make light of it, but in a very helpful way. So subscribe to that podcast. You're not going to want to miss it. And if you're not already subscribed to this podcast, it's the perfect time to hit that button so you never miss an episode like this one, because this one is such a powerful one. I don't want anybody to miss this conversation. So thank you so much for hopping on and having this conversation with me, Julie. It was so, so great and helpful.
It was my privilege and pleasure. Thank you.
I hope today's conversation with Julie was an encouraging one. I know I learned some things. I know it was a long episode, but it was such a good conversation. I hope it encouraged you. I hope maybe you learned something like I did. And I hope maybe it also helps you do a little bit of a self-audit. It's how you spend your time and who you spend your time with. And if that's something that you're struggling with, or you just want to chat about anything we covered today, you can always find me at my website. It's www.sunshinepapery.com. There's a coaching tab right on the home page where you can book a call with me so that we can chat. Until next time, stay planted in purpose and walk in the sun.